right, so let me just give you quickly some guide questions. To help you get through this next time. Okay, right, where was I? Okay, so today we're looking at sort of being in reality. Next time we're going to be looking at the relationship between language, thought, and the material world, right? So all four of the philosophers we're looking at are going to be focused on those things primarily. You will also find that sort of to save space, I once again sort of like have combined PDFs.
Are they upside
in a
down?
folder. They might be. So yeah, you might have to flip them over because I'm bad at technological
I
things.
just downloaded it to my phone and read it upside down.
Yeah. You don't have to read it upside down.
Can I take pictures of this?
You can take pictures of this, yes. Okay, so for those of you who are assigned to Descartes, right, first, why does Descartes begin by summarizing the gist of his previous work, and how does this build up to the point that he's trying to make? Secondly, what does Descartes mean by common sense? Is it different from the way you understand that term? Right? Is the common sense he's talking about the common sense you typically talk about when you use that term? And third, how are humans and animals alike according to Descartes? In what important respect do they differ, and what does language have to do with this difference? Okay, so anybody, you're writing this down?
Yeah, I'm writing it too.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, we can
For
wait.
some reason my phone didn't.
We got time. Just let me know when you're done, and I can move on.
Is your phone turned off? Okay, let me try to send. There's no service. I'm back again.
Me.
You got it? You're done? Okay. All set? Okay, so those of you who are going to be working on Locke, this is what I want you thinking about. First, what does Locke mean by composition? What's the process he uses this word to describe? And does it seem to relate to anything in Descartes' essay? Right? Is there something Descartes talks about that's similar to this? Second, what's the relationship Locke establishes between ideas, signs, and words? And do you see a familiar hierarchy represented here? Maybe something similar to something we're going to be talking about today. And third, according to Locke, what faculty do humans possess that animals lack, right? What can a human being do that an animal cannot, according to Locke?
So you want us to also read the other?
I would say worry most about your assigned philosopher. Read the others if you have time. It will certainly make it easier for you to rebut other people's arguments if you're already familiar with what the other philosophers say. And that'll also help you with the paper that is going to eventually come out of this, right? But yeah, I would say worry most about your own assigned philosopher for now. Is anybody copying this down, or is everybody done with it? Everybody's good? All right. Then moving right along. All right, those of you who are working on William of Ockham, welcome to medieval philosophy and all its joys. What does Ockham have to say about the relationship between universals and particulars, and how does this affect his view of language use? right? This will also be, we'll be talking a little bit about universals and particulars today, probably, but yeah, make sure you understand what those words mean, right? What we're talking about when we talk about universals and particulars. Secondly, how, according to Occam, is the human intellect able to perceive and imagine objects in the world? And third, how does Occam believe written language to be related to our mental language?
Second, you kind of relate to Bert Barkley with that second question.
Yeah, and Berkeley's talking about a very similar kind of idea. Berkeley's a little bit more unmoored from tradition than William of Occam is, but yeah.
Yeah, but I
Yeah,
read it.
thinking along similar lines, yeah.
Yeah, right. He said that this could be a table, but he might see it as, well, is it just a table? I looked at oh shit, what is it? Hell, am I reading?
All right, anybody still need this? Good? All right. Then John Stuart Mill, finally. Those of you who are working on Mill. First, how does Mill believe words and ideas to be related? What, according to Mill, does an individual word stand for? This is going to relate back to that relationship between universals and particulars, right? What does Mill mean when he talks about the denotation and connotation of words? Can a word have connotations but no denotation? And finally, how does Mill deal with words that only refer to a specific individual? So let me know when you are done with this and ready to move on. No.
Who's your favorite out of these four?
Out of these four, what I think is irrelevant.
Oh, so now you can tell
How
us
about
who was your
the
favorite
last
out of the last four.
What's
We're
that?
done.
The
You can
last
tell
one.
us who was your favorite out of the last four.
What I think is irrelevant.
Professor, what do you think is completely relevant?
No. It is not for me to tell you what my preferences are. It is for you to reason through the material.
The response for the last four was due before class, or is it due tonight?
It's good if you brought something with you to class to work with, but the response will be due tonight. Yeah.
If I brought a digital copy on my computer, am I allowed to take that out or anything?
As long as that is the only thing you do with your screens. Yes, if you need to look up your article on a screen, if you need to refer back to something that you wrote on a screen, that is acceptable, but that is the only thing you will be allowed to do with that screen, okay? So, if I catch anyone doing anything else with screens, then that privilege is revoked.
When we do this, do you want us to go like 1, 2, 3 and answer those questions, or do you want it all just be one paragraph or several paragraphs?
The questions are kind of just to help you see what is important in the answer. It's to help you think about what you should focus on. Right.
To guide your argument.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're making a summary, and that's kind of what we should focus on?
You are basically making a summary, but you're also you're working into that summary a defense of your philosopher's position, right? I want you to try to explain why not just what your philosopher says, but also why he's right, even if you don't think he is.
Okay. I totally
All right.
I just had you questions.
3/4.
I mean, I get it because it's about.
Okay, so we can work all this out in a minute, right? But as far as the stuff we're talking about today is concerned, right, I want you to be concerned primarily with
Feeding our opponents.
no. Yes. No. Understanding comes first, right? What I mostly want to make sure you do is not so much defeat your opponent as really understand the argument your philosopher is making, right? So the 4 essays that you read for today come from the branch of philosophy called Metaphysics. And each branch of philosophy asks a particular question, right? Now, the question metaphysics asks could be summed up as, right, what exists or alternately, what is real? So we're looking at philosophers who are trying to figure out the nature of being in the world, right? What things are real? How can we tell what's real and what isn't, right? How do I know that this desk in front of me is really there? Now, you can sort of divide up the four philosophers we looked at for today into two basic camps: idealists and materialists. Not all of them, by the way, are going to fit cleanly into either category. An idealist, okay, well, if we just look at the name, right, idealist, what do you think an idealist thinks is most real?
Ideas.
Yeah, an idealist essentially believes that the only things in the world that are real are ideas, right? Our ideas of things are more real than material things themselves.
I think we should let all.
Right? Ideas are the highest reality. Now, we can then assume if a materialist is the opposite of an idealist, what does a materialist believe is real?
Object.
Yeah, that objects in the world, that material things, right, that matter is what's real. Okay, so armed with that little bit of information, and it is a very little bit of information, what I would like you guys to do, right, is, okay, you're already broken up into your groups. What you're going to do is spend the next 20 minutes explaining to each other your philosopher's essay, right? This is one of the reasons I want you guys working in groups, so that you can help each other understand this stuff. And you are going to come up in that 20 minutes with a defense of your philosopher's position, or a basic explanation of what your philosopher's position is. Right? You will choose one person from the group to come up and offer that defense to the class. And then when everybody has gone, you will have another 15 minutes, right? You can go back after you've heard everybody's piece, right? And you can try to write a rebuttal of your opponents, right? An explanation of why your philosopher is right and their philosophers are wrong. So when everybody's talking, pay close attention, right? Different people will have to do, right, the defense and the rebuttal, right? You'll have to choose two different people to do those things. And because we have relatively big groups, not everyone will get a chance to talk. But this is one of the reasons I don't want you all working with the same people every time, so that the same people don't keep getting sent up to talk while other people hide in the back, okay? No one gets to hide. Sorry. All right, so you can go ahead and get started. I will be around to answer questions that you might have.